Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we're reviewing Starfield. As you may have seen, my last video was a Let's Play. I think it was about an hour and a quarter long, which is quite long for a video, and Let's Plays don't do well, but as I wanted to play the game, I decided that that was the video I was making, and now I am reviewing. So I have not completed the game yet. I've put over 40 hours into it though, and have enough of a handle on it to be able to speak about it. I won't be going into the story details too much because obviously I want you to be able to play it and not be spoiled by anything, so no spoilers here, or very minor early game ones if there are any. Okay, so Starfield, I gave my thoughts initially in my Let's Play video, but we'll round out here in case you haven't seen it, which is more than likely. So Starfield is Bethesda's new franchise. It's the first one they've put out in quite some time. I mean, a new original franchise anyway. And it does definitely have like the building blocks of like Fallout, very much so in it. It does come across a little bit like Fallout 4, but with a spaceship, if you like. Now, Fallout 4 was nowhere near my favourite Fallout game. My favourite Fallout game was easily New Vegas. But I did think the combat was improved in Fallout 4, and it is improved again here. I feel the first-person shooting is much tighter. It doesn't need the VAT system that earlier Fallout games, especially like 3 and New Vegas, they kind of needed the VAT system because they weren't that great in terms of a first-person shooter. Starfield doesn't. The first-person shooting is fine. It's not on the levels of like a Doom or perhaps even a Destiny 2, stuff like that, but it's perfectly serviceable, inoffensive, and it gets the job done. I like it. I like the fact that you can customize your weapons and really sort of specialize down into those weapons. So I'm running a semi-automatic rifle at the moment. It does quite a lot of damage. It has a good sized magazine on it, and I fitted a reflex sight on it as well. So I'm enjoying using that, and it's good fun, but I am carrying around quite a few weapons. I tend to carry like weapons that use different forms of ammo, so if I run out of one, I've still got like all this ammo that I can use, because ammo weighs nothing, so it's quite good to have a weapon that you can actually make use of. There's been a few missions when I have run out of ammo, including one where I was fighting something I wasn't supposed to kill and thus couldn't actually kill it. So I ran out of ammo on that and then got killed, and then decided to try and run for it, and that was apparently what I was supposed to do, so never mind. I have finished quite a few of the main stories going on, not the overarching storyline yet, but certainly a lot of the bigger sort of side missions, if you like, for the various factions, and I'm actually really enjoying it. I'm not as sort of tied to as many of the crew members as I might have been in previous games for Fallout and stuff like that, but to be fair, I mean, I don't think Bethesda's companions have been really amazing usually anyway. I think that's more of a BioWare thing generally, and now a Larian thing, so but you know, they're perfectly serviceable. I mean, there are love interests in there. I am, you know, in-game married to one of them, so there you go. I generally just venture around with her, and she's the posh totty, let's put it that way. There are bugs, is to be expected with Bethesda. I haven't found too many that are game breaking or anything like that though. It's just kind of like weird moments that kind of take you out of the experience. Like once you're sort of with somebody, when you sleep on your ship, you sleep with them, and so you don't actually. There's no like sex, or you know, it's yet to be modded in, because it probably will be, let's face it, but you basically go to bed, select the bed, and it says how long do you want to rest for, like it does in most Bethesda games. So you say, oh okay, 7 hours, there we go, get a good night's sleep, and you wake up and your significant other is sort of laid in the bed and gets up and says, oh, you know, next time we should probably try sleeping, and sort of suggestive little quips like that. But sometimes they just sort of get mangled. So you sort of wake up and they're sort of like crammed into this like one berth bed, and their legs and arms are all sort of wonky and weird angles, and then it sort of sorts itself out, and you're kind of like, ow, sorry about that. It's not distracting. But it's just like minor shit like that. I haven't had... I mean, there were a couple of bits where I thought I'd encountered bugs, and it was just me being stupid. So there was like one where I had to repair a ship, and it was like telling me how to do things. And it was like, oh, you need to do this. I'm like, so I went up to the console. I went, okay, we'll do this. And I'm like, it's not working. Why isn't this working? What I didn't realise is there was more options below the ones that were displayed. So I was kind of like, oh shit, there it is, dickhead. That's all good. The ship stuff, I was wrong in my Let's Play. I did say I didn't think you could like wander about your ships. You can. The thing that threw me off was the starter ship has like one internal compartment, and the dock is a separate one, and the dock is like the load screen to the internals. So it just felt like, okay, I can just be in my ship, and that was it. Which was wrong. You definitely can wander about your ships, sort them out, you move stuff around, you can decorate it a little bit if you want. But it's primarily dictated by what type of sort of hab module it is. So whether it's like sort of sleeping quarters or galleries or kitchens, medical bays, stuff like that you can install, and they come in with like pre-assigned assets and layouts and things like that. The shipbuilding is quite good. It is quite finicky though in some. I think it needs a few bits of quality of life doing, because the way you do it is you snap sections together, you need all of your vital components on, and you need to keep it sort of able to fly in terms of power versus weight, and you can only use sort of approved sort of quality components that you're sort of familiar with, so which is dealt with your skills, which we'll go on to later. They all snap together in certain ways. They have like glowing points on them that you snap together like a Lego. You can make some really weird and wonderful creations, and it's really good. But sometimes the problem is if you get a piece and it goes on the sort of plot, the sort of screen that shows you the ship and where you're placing the things, and it goes far away from your ship, it zooms right out, and your ship is way off center, and it thinks your ship is like as big as from your ship to the component that's sort of like massively far in the distance. And because it's so far zoomed out, it's really difficult to see that component, to actually like get rid of it, so it recenters on your ship. And you can't even move towards it, because you can move a little bit and then it will stop and it'll be like, I don't understand what you're doing. So I've had more than one time when I've spent like 20 minutes building a ship and had to sort of lose everything because I can't see the part to get rid of it, and it thinks my ship's too big to complete it. So I've just had to cancel the entire thing and start over, which is not fun. So a few more quality of life improvements there would be nice to see. I mean, it doesn't give you a huge amount of like tutorial. It's not as impenetrable as something like X4, but it does give you like a couple of screens worth of text, and then you're off and away and doing your own thing. And it doesn't explain everything in that great detail. So like there's plenty of videos on YouTube you can see of like 10 things you didn't know you could do in Starfield, which is valuable because yeah, there are a lot of things in Starfield which make the game better if you know you can do them. So I'm just saying. The ship itself, using the ship sort of day to day, is fine. The combat is okay. It's a little bit sort of less than I would have liked. I would have liked more of an Elite Dangerous experience from that part of the game, whereas it feels more like the space parts in what was the Modern Warfare, where it was in space. Was it Advanced, or I don't know? Was Advanced was the Exo-suits, wasn't it? I don't know, but it was the one where you flew ships, basically. That one. It feels a little bit like that in terms of the combat. It does do the thing that I really like in games, where like this is going back to Buck Rogers' Countdown to Doomsday, which I played on the Mega Drive, in that you can board, take over ships, and then keep or sell the ship, which is good. But In this, it kind of takes the fun out a little bit, because in order to keep the ship, to sell it or to use it, you need to register it. And registering it takes 80% of the cost of the ship. So even if you're selling the ship, you just want to sell it, you need to register it in order to sell it. So you're only making like 20% of the price of the ship. And the ships, selling them is not that... You would think a ship would sell for like a couple of 100,000, something like that. Some of them sell for like $5,000. It's just like... pfft. So sometimes it feels a little bit like, even when you get a good ship and you need to put so much money in and you get 20% profit on it, and it's like, you know, in the real world 20% profit's outstanding, but like in the game I'm kind of like, I kind of want the whole thing, or you know, at least like registering a ship should not cost 80% of like the value of the ship. That's just ridiculous. There are mods that can deal with that. I haven't modded anything in my playthrough yet. I'm going to do it vanilla first. But you can mod it so like the prices for registering is a lot less, stuff like that. I have looked at mods, but I've not implemented any for this playthrough. You can also build outposts on planets, which is very reminiscent of building your base in Fallout 4. I think it's not quite as cack-handed. There's definite like quality of life improvements, like you can zoom out and actually have like a planning view, which is nice. And you don't need to hook everything up because you put the power in and it's wireless. You can also do like a Factorio kind of thing going on. So if you have an extractor that's pulling out, say, aluminum, you can have that go to your storage container, and from there it can go to a processor, which will turn it into like frames. And then you can take the frames and have that go to a landing pad, and a ship will come by and pick them up, and you've sort of got a passive income thing going on. Haven't quite worked out how to get all of that done. I am producing materials from it, but I tend to go back and pick it up myself, and I tend to use it for crafting other shit anyway. But it is quite nicely done. You can set up sort of habitats in there as well, not just like have an extractor and like all the sort of mechanical stuff, but you can set up habitats, assign crew members there. You can set up defenses because your outpost will get attacked either by the local fauna or potentially by pirates or spacers, because they're two different things in the game. And you know, it's quite well done, I must admit. I do like it. It's something I think I'm going to get more into the second time around, because a lot of my points, I'm level 30 I think, and a lot of my points have been going into being able to fly the better spaceships, being more effective with my weaponry, better stamina, better persuasion skills, lockpicking, you know, the sort of like general questing stuff, rather than the sort of crafting and the building stuff. So like I know in New Game Plus you do keep all of your skills, so it's probably something I will spec into when I go back through again, which I am definitely planning to do, because I hear there's some changes that are going on, and I'd like to see if quests turn out vastly different if I'm playing something else, because at the moment I'm like a tried and true good guy. I think like nearly everybody does their first playthrough like that, and then sort of like now I do the asshole playthrough, which I'm quite looking forward to. So I'm going to be a space pirate or something in that, and like tuck up everybody else and see how far that gets me through the game. I imagine I'll have a bit more money, but a lot more violence, which, yeah, actually sounds like a lot of fun, so I'm looking forward to doing that. So yeah, I mean, the crafting itself, there's a lot of crafting you can do. You can make mods for your spacesuits, mods for your weapons, medical stuff, you can cook. Obviously you've got your whole outpost gear, which you can research and get more options and better options, and there's a lot to be done sort of across the board really, and it's definitely a game that isn't designed for you to do everything in the first playthrough. Like, my settlements are rudimentary because I haven't researched that. My crafting is virtually non-existent because I haven't skilled that, I should say. So you know, it is what it is. You will get a certain amount of skill points, not enough to do everything, I should imagine. As I say, I'm not even sure what the level cap is on it. But as I say, I'm 30, so, you know, you've got the ones that you start with, and then I guess 29 more. 1, 2, 3, no, 30 more. What am I talking about? Math. Ugh. I'm having fun with it. As I said, it's not as deep in the space sort of travelling as I would have liked. You can move from like place to place within system in real time if you really want to. There's not much cause to do it, and it's slow. There's no sort of in-systems sort of version of like a warp drive or anything like that. You'll be going at your maximum speed if you throw everything into engines, and that will be it, with the occasional use of boosters. And it will take you hours and hours. So you're better off just doing the autopilot thing, which, yeah, the criticism is it's basically load screen. And yeah, it is. Absolutely. It's, it's a thematic load screen, but it's still a load screen. And, I do like watching my ship that I built, although the one in the footage won't be one that I built. It's one that I got as part of a quest line, and is way better than the one I built. But it's, it's nice to watch it go past and marvel at it and be like, holy shit, that's a lot of shit. Because yeah, that's a chunky ship. What else? Let's see. There is I don't want to say too much about it, but you have the main storyline, and there is something that occurs not relatively early in the game. I think if you did the storyline missions sort of consistently, it would be quicker. But I branched out quite drastically, and I'm like doing everything for everybody at the moment, which is why I haven't finished it. I imagine if I just stuck to the main storyline, I'd probably be done by now. But there is a sort of prestige set of skills that you get as a result of that. I won't discuss what they are, but they're there, so it's not just, the regular skill tree. There is something else as well. But to be fair, if you think Dragonborn, you're not going to be far off. And much like the Dragonborn stuff, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I forgot I had that. That would have been useful if I remembered that. But yeah, I mean, I am having a lot of fun with it. I am going to continue playing it. I am looking forward to seeing how the story ends. It's not like a Mass Effect level story. Well, Mass Effect 1 or 2 level story. Maybe not even a Mass Effect 3 level story, but it's fine. It keeps me interested. I'm enjoying the mechanics of the game generally. There's a few pieces which annoy me a little bit. You get afflictions. So if you go out on a planet and it's like super hot, you'll get burns, and that will sort of fuck with your stamina and stuff like that, and you'll be bleeding from it, and then you need to come back, and there's so many, so you don't carry around like everything you need. Like you fall off a great height, you can sprain something as you need, and there's like multiple levels to it as well, and like you use like a healing paste on your burns, and it's like it's cured your burns, but it really hasn't. It's just taking them back one step, and you have to wait for it to piss off. At least that's... I tried to use multiple healing pastes, and it didn't seem to get rid of it. Mind you, I've had incoming bad weather symbol up on my character for probably about the last 30 hours of gameplay. It's just like, yep, bad weather's coming, bud. I'm just like, yeah, but it's always coming? Or is it stuck? I think it's probably stuck. So that's like one of the little bugs in it, but it's not a huge problem. I mean, the environmental stuff isn't too terrible outside of getting rid of anything you end up after it. There was one where I got a red sprain or broken. I don't know if that means broken or sprained, but it was like a red level one, so it was like I was trying to get back to the ship, and it's like crippled. Yep, can't move. Fuck it, fast travel, which I did, and then I'm still trying to move around, and it was just a pain in the ass. It does take some of the joy out of it. I mean, your stamina bar isn't particularly chunky anyway, so it's a good idea to get that up with fitness skills and weightlifting, because your initial you do have that sort of thing where you have so many skills where you can see the immediate benefit from them, that you're like, oh, well, I need this, and this, and then later on you're like, oh shit, I should have taken this as well. You feel like you need a lot of skills in the game. Like you'll get a new, you'll be rewarded or find a new spacecraft, and then you figure out you can't fly it because you haven't been up in your piloting skill. You'd be like, oh shit, I should have thought about that. I was too busy like putting stuff into lockpicking and stuff like that, because that was the more immediate problem at the time, and now I need this. So it's kind of like one of those things, and the way the skills work, and that it has challenges associated with levels. So you put a point into a skill, and then if you get another skill point, or if you have to, you can't immediately put it in to the same skill. There's like a challenge associated, like in piloting, you've got to destroy, like, say, 5 enemy ships to unlock tier 2. And you do that, and then you can add the point in to the skill again and get yourself the second tier. And so on until you get all 4 tiers. Some of them are okay, some of them are cheesable, like there's one where it's like, yeah, use your jetpack in, or jump pack in combat. So you just like hide around the corner from the enemies and jump pack like in place 20 times, saying like, yep, they're done, I can get the new level of that. But it's not obvious sometimes when you're doing the challenge either. Like it doesn't show you, like it doesn't come up with you've destroyed 12 out of 20 ships or something. It seems to pop it up when it wants to. I'm not sure if it does it at a specific level, but it doesn't show you every time you advance it. So you're kind of like, I'm not sure if this is doing anything, so I'm stopping. There's like ones where you have to sprint with like more than 75% of like maximum capacity in your bag. So you think, oh, I think that's like over 75%, so we'll run. But it's not giving you any feedback, so you're like, I'm not sure it's working. Stuff like that. It is outside of like those little complaints, and they are little. Graphically, it's okay. It's another one of those games where if you take everything in as one thing, so you look across a vista and you see the light coming down, and it's reflecting off of here, and you can see all the buildings, and you know it looks good. And then you sort of get up close to shit, and it doesn't look quite as good. It's not terrible. Some of the NPCs are very questionable. Otherwise, you know, the actual buildings and stuff like that look fine. I left the settings on high with FSR on 90% resolution from 1440p. And yeah, I got basically the same performance as I got in the Let's Play all the way through, which is, I think it was like high 40s to mid 50s, which seems to be working okay. I prefer like more frames, obviously more frames better, but it doesn't seem to detract from the game for me. It's high enough that it's not pissing me off. Obviously if you're playing it on console, that's another issue, because I believe the Xbox version is locked at 30 frames, which would annoy the hell out of me. I've gone back and played games that play at 30, and I just can't deal with it. It's so bad. Especially games that, like when I initially played them, like Until Dawn is a really good example. I didn't have a problem with the frame rate, I just played it. I was like, yeah, this is great, I like this. And you go back like after years later, after playing like follow-up games from the same producer, where it's like the same kind of game, but it like runs at much higher frame rates, and it's graphically more, it's got more graphic fidelity to it. And then you go back to Until Dawn, and you're like, oh shit, this is ow. It was a real struggle to play through that again, I must say. Just because the frame rate was so low. I'm not even sure it was hitting 30 at some points, to be perfectly honest with you. And you know, it looked great at the time, so I guess that's to be kind of expected, that it was, you know, a PS4 pumping out what looked like primo graphics, so you would take the loss of the frame rate. This is one good thing that current consoles are doing, in that the fact that you normally get a choice between frame rate or fidelity. It's like, yeah, but you want to play at 1440p and have good graphics, or you know, and a frame rate that's 60 or plus. Fine. Or do you want to play like at 4K and have like really nice graphics, but like 30? You know, choice is never a bad thing in that sort of arena, so I'm always behind that. That's why I like PC gaming so much, is you can really sort of dive into the settings and really fine-tune it and get rid of like the stuff that's most sort of resource hungry and try and keep as much fidelity as you possibly can while losing some of the more hungrier components. Starfield then, it's not the game of the year for me. I'll say that right now. It's a good game. It's not the life-changing event I think Bethesda wanted it to be, which is a shame. I do enjoy playing it. I am going to see it through, and I will probably replay it for the New Game Plus, and I will enjoy my time with it for all of that. But it's not the next step in video game evolution by a long shot. Everything it does, I've seen other stuff that does it better. But the thing is, not very many games that I can think of does all of the stuff it does at the same time. I think that's probably its biggest sort of biggest plus and biggest minus, in the fact that it does all of this stuff, and like a lot of games do some of it, but it does all of it. But a lot of the games do the sum better than it does the all. So it's nice to see such an ambitious game with so much in it, but you kind of think, well, if you had a little bit less in it, then maybe some of the elements would have been better. And none of them are terrible, don't get me wrong, apart from some of the faces, as mentioned. But certainly, for me, I mean, it's another ambivalent one. I can see why they wanted to sort of go so big and try and be like the next huge thing, and like a lot of the stuff it does is what Star Citizen is trying to do, and you know, Star Citizen is way buggier. But does it do it better? When it works, it does. But sometimes it doesn't work. So, you know, it's kind of that sort of deal. For those of you worried about it being especially woke or anything like that, I'm not particularly fond of that sort of thing myself. So, for me, it doesn't make you choose your pronouns. Pronouns are available in it. I found that when you're selecting male or female, like the body type, it will give you the correct pronouns for those body types. If you want to go and change it, you can. You don't have to mess with it though. I did notice that a lot of the characters in it are sort of sexually omnivorous, shall we say, in the fact that there's no real straight or gay characters. They just fuck anything, really, from what I can tell. And I think, I mean, I've seen a few instances of that, because like most NPCs you won't talk about their sex life with, but those that you do, yeah, they'll crack of dawn, they'll go after that, mate, I'll tell you. It's not huge, you know, there's not, I mean, there is like an absolute kaleidoscope of people all over the place in there. For me, it doesn't bother me, outside of the fact that it's just a symptom of where current entertainment is. But it's not overly egregious, in my opinion. It is there if you don't want to support something that, you know, I completely understand. For me, though, I was able to pretty much ignore any instances of it and just move on and enjoy the game. So make of that what you will. Anyway, guys, that's been my review of Starfield. I hope it's been useful. It's on Game Pass, so you're probably playing it already if you want to. And, you know, I've seen a lot of backlash from the Sony fans. Yeah, it's the same, though, isn't it? It's whenever, like, Sony releases something and Xbox doesn't get it, then the Xbox fans moan, and, you know, the other way around is just as true. I mean, I'm lucky enough to, you know, have a PC and a PS5 and an Xbox One, so generally speaking I can play whatever the hell I want. But, you know, if I was limited to one console, I'm not sure if I would be that defensive about it, but it would be nice to, like, occasionally... I mean, Xbox has been taking some L's. I mean, you know, Redfall was supposed to be the shit, and not so much. So it's nice that it got a decent game, even if it's not like a game of a generation or anything like that. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. You take it easy, and I'll catch you next time.